Hello friends, I hope you're doing really well. This is Tracy Brown, and my team and I of non-dietitians provide trauma-informed care so that you can feel safer in your own skin. So I was thinking about double binds today, but not just like most days, because I see it play out all the time. So I have a few notes here only because I wanted to get the definition of the word double bind accurate for us today. So let's talk about what a double bind is, and then we'll talk about what a double bind is with food. So this is a dictionary. I think it's Oxford Dictionary I pulled this from, this definition. A double bind is a difficult situation in which whatever action you take, you cannot escape unpleasant results. Sure feels like food, right? In our modern day and age where it's like, feels like can't do it right, can't make a right decision. If you do what you want, then there's a consequence here. If you do what you think you should do here to avoid this consequence, then you have this consequence over here. Totally is the bind of an eating disorder, yeah? So what I find at the end of the day, that most people feel pretty stuck in this, like, we'll call it diet voice, whatever you want to call it, the voice in your head that's like, you shouldn't be eating that, or well, you really like that, but and maybe there's many voices, but it's like some part of you gets really mad at you for eating things that you like, and another part of you gets mad or sad that you don't eat what you like, right? But it's all about doing it right. At the end of the day, this is all about this like conflict inside of like doing it right versus it's all here, right? And it's usually all based in like what I see is two things, maybe three. So when I see people struggling with like doing it right, this double bind with food, what I usually see, sorry, I got some marker or something on my finger here. Anyway, when I see people struggle with the doing it right, usually there's like internal conflict about like safety. And so I'm going to put health under the safety boat, all right? And we can also put maybe health under the identity boat, but it's like, people kind of struggle with identity issues. If I don't get the food right, will I not be, why I would not have belonging? And usually that's obviously tied to like weight and body image and stuff like that. So it gets kind of wrapped up in the conflict around like lovability and competence and being good. You might have the boat of safety, like if I don't eat the right thing, maybe someone will reject me and then I'll feel alone and I won't feel safe. Maybe it's that direction. Or then maybe the safety boat for you is, gosh, if I don't eat the right food, then I'm going to expire earlier. Of course, that doesn't feel good. That's as existential, right? And then maybe another one is more about control or perfectionism. And usually that leads to safety or some kind of relational struggle anyway, right? So we need to stop, we're pulling and pushing. It's like, okay, well, if over here, like eat what I want, and I actually even listen to my preferences, then I feel like I did something wrong. So false guilt, right? It's not wrong to eat what you like. It's not wrong to eat something that's like, feels like it's honoring your body. That's not a diet. But if all you do is eat the things you think you should to please the marketing, to please your doctor, please your parents, to please, or to avoid rejection or whatever, now you're not also honoring your body. You're not really being authentic. So that might, bring up a lot of feelings as well. So how do we get out of all these knots? And I think the reality is to recognize that a lot of this being stuck in a double bind, is about like past no-win situations, essentially, where you kind of had to fawn to like, maybe not have true safety, but the best safety you could in the situation you were in, right? It wasn't ideal, but it kept you alive. And that's kind of what all this boils down to. So how do you slip out of this? Well, that's where all this body-based eating with some like gentle nutrition and common sense comes in, is you have to take the risk to grow into that ability to like yourself inside what's best for your body. And you take a little information here or there and you test it out, and is that accurate long term? Or is it just a fad that everybody's doing that, says it's good for you, but then you find out in 2 years or 10 years, like, oh, sorry, that was just marketing and, whatever, the best we had with the information we have, but that's not accurate anymore. So anyway, recognize if you're in a fawn response. How do we get out of this? Well, what would it mean if you ate what you wanted? And when we doing it right? Well, right from whom, or right for what? Or where did you come to believe that if you eat it a different time of day or different kinds of foods, or you let your body be what it needs to be, what would it mean about you? And most of the time we're figuring out that like this has a lot to do with people pleasing, and that we're kind of choosing probably more relational safety than it is about what's best actually for ourselves and for our health. And so that ends up being why so many people are stuck in these double binds around food. It's not that we don't maybe know how to eat or what to eat. Sometimes we don't, and we need to start from scratch. Totally normal, not a problem, but we can learn. Neuroplasticity, we can learn new things. However, when it's like you feel guilty for doing absolutely the thing you need to be doing for your body, more carbs, or taking a nap, or not skipping your vitamins, or whatever it is, what you need to be doing, or saying yes to something to bring more joy in your life, and you feel like a conflict about that, that's where you just like, okay, I'm in some kind of like probably safety or relational double bind here. What's that about? How familiar is that? What would it mean if I did what was best for me? And work it through. Work it through with somebody you trust, counseling, whatever you need to do. From a food perspective, it's like nobody knows what's best for your body but you. Now, people like me, just because we have so much experience and we do have some training and we do try to keep up with like what's out there, and we have our own lived experiences too. We, without pushing our lived experience on some people, we try to help people like just rudder their boat of like, how do you know inside that that's right for you, essentially? What are you noticing? And it's like, oh, well, my brain's saying that's food. I should be really full, but the reality is I'm not. And like, well, how does that make sense? Look back on the last time you ate, and what was the satiation and the volume and the meal mix, and what's truth? Oh, well, yeah, it makes sense that maybe I am hungry in 2 hours, and some part of me doesn't want that to be true. Okay, well, can we talk about that then? Where did that come from? What would it mean that you need more food to stay full or longer? What would that mean? And work that through, because that's what's creating your bind, right? To moving forward. I hope this video was helpful. I just find that it's so common, and I'm kind of surprised I haven't directly named it in 13 years of doing videos here online, that it was sure enough time. But the reason sometimes these videos get made is because a word will pop up like, oh, what's the meaning of that word? I'm like, oh, that's what situation we're in as humans, or around our food or our body. So let's talk about it. Let's get there. And I just want things to make sense for y'all. So I hope this video was helpful, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.